The fall of a corrupt detective. In the hushed courtroom of Willow Creek County, Detective Robert Harlan sank to his knees, the cold bite of handcuffs tightening around his wrists. Judge Eleanor Thompson, a pillar of resolve at the bench, fixed her gaze on him. 20 years for corruption, assault, and conspiracy against the very people you swore to protect, she declared, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. The air was thick with tension, the weight of justice settling over the room. How had a decorated officer fallen so far? And what drove a judge to risk everything to bring him down? Robert Harlan, a 51-year-old white detective, had walked the marble halls of the Willow Creek Courthouse with the swagger of a man untouchable. For 25 years, he'd built a reputation as the police department's golden boy, silver-haired, weathered, and cloaked in authority. To the public, he was a hero, his badge gleaming under the fluorescent lights. But beneath the surface, a deep-seated racial bias fueled his policing, hidden behind a veneer of procedure and charm. Divorced twice, estranged from his 3 children, Harlan's life was his job and the power it gave him. That morning, Harlan was due in courtroom 4B for what he thought was a routine hearing. Another case, another young black man he'd pinned a crime on, another notch in his belt. The defendant, Marcus Green, a 19-year-old college student, was accused of robbing a gas station near campus. Harlan's evidence, a partial fingerprint, a shaky witness I'd seemed airtight to him. He smirked as he entered, nodding to the bailiff, an old partner. But his confidence wavered when he saw Judge Eleanor Thompson presiding. At 47, Thompson, a black woman and Yale law graduate, was known for her meticulous rulings, which officers like Harlan dismissed as meddling. She'd been reassigned to this case at the last minute, a fact that made Harlan's jaw tighten. As the hearing began, Thompson's questions sliced through his testimony. Detective Harlan, you claim the defendant's fingerprint was found on the counter. Can you confirm where exactly? She asked, her tone calm but piercing. Harlan leaned forward. Near the register, Your Honor. A partial print matching Green's right index finger. Thompson made a note. And this is the only physical evidence tying Mr. Green to the scene? Her skepticism was palpable. Harlan bristled, adding, We also have a witness who said it was likely him. Thompson raised an eyebrow. Likely? Is likely standard for a positive ID detective? As she pressed further, pointing out missing video footage, uninterviewed witnesses, and Green's alibi backed by 4 classmates, Harlan's composure cracked. He'd cut corners before, planted evidence, coerced confessions. Last year, he'd framed 3 black teens for drug possession. 5 years ago, he targeted a black father who dared complain about harassment. Each time, the system shielded him. But Thompson wasn't backing down. When she ruled the evidence inadmissible, Harlan snapped. 25 years of bending the rules, of knowing who was guilty before a trial, exploded in a moment of rage. This is a sham, he roared, storming the bench. Before the bailiff could react, Harlan kicked Thompson's leg, toppling her chair. You don't get to ruin my cases, he snarled, his prejudice laid bare. The courtroom erupted. Bailiffs tackled him, and as he was dragged away in cuffs, Harlan noticed the news cameras. His outburst was live on air. By evening, the footage was viral, shared millions of times. Protests erupted outside the courthouse, signs demanding justice and a review of Harlan's cases. His life was about to unravel. Judge Eleanor Thompson winced as she settled onto her couch, a bruise throbbing on her leg. Her husband, David, a pediatrician, pressed an ice pack to the injury. You need a hospital, he urged. It's just a bruise, she replied, though they both knew this was bigger than physical pain. The city was watching. In private, Thompson revealed her secret. For 6 months, she'd been investigating Harlan after an anonymous tip exposed his pattern of targeting black suspects. Her tablet displayed a dossier, court transcripts with inconsistent testimony, arrest records showing a disproportionate focus on black citizens, conviction rates that screamed bias. She'd worked late nights, collaborating with Assistant DA Sarah Lynn, a 36-year-old whose own neighbor had been harassed by Harlan. In her home office, Thompson unlocked a cabinet filled with files documenting Harlan's misconduct. This isn't just him, she told David, showing a chart linking cases to specific judges and buried complaints. It's a network. FBI agent Michael Reed had contacted her after 3 complaints against Harlan vanished internally. Together, they were building a RICO case: systematic civil rights violations, evidence tampering, conspiracy. The assault video was the spark they needed. By nightfall, Agent Reed arrived at Thompson's home. The directors authorized a full investigation, he said. We're pulling agents from 3 offices. Relief washed over Thompson. Her years of quiet documentation were finally bearing fruit. In a county jail cell, Harlan sat defiant on a metal bunk. He put men in cells like this, never imagining he'd be one. Surely, his system would protect him. His partner, Detective John Carver, visited, his face grim. The department's cutting you loose, Rob, he whispered. The chief called your actions inexcusable. Harlan scoffed. The union's got my back. I've got dirt on everyone. But unease crept in. His attorney, Margaret Wells, arrived with worse news. The FBI's involved. They're calling it a civil rights case. And they searched your apartment. Harlan's stomach dropped. Behind a false panel in his closet, agents had found $78,000 in cash, unregistered guns, and a flash drive with videos of him planting evidence. A hidden journal detailed his crimes, laced with racial slurs. Across town, Harlan's ex-wife, Karen, told agents about his temper and a scar he'd left on her arm. He said no one would believe me over a decorated cop, she said, trembling. Meanwhile, Carver faced a choice: delete incriminating texts or cooperate with the FBI. Guilt gnawed at him, looked the other way too long. The investigation snowballed. Thompson, now a consultant to U.S. Attorney Laura Bennett, revealed the depth of the corruption. Harlan's just the tip, she said, spreading files across a conference table. Financial records traced millions through shell companies. Surveillance photos showed Harlan meeting Captain Edward Pierce, the scheme's architect, at a lake house. Officers admitted to planting drugs, falsifying reports, and targeting black neighborhoods for profit. The community rallied. Marcus Green's mother, speaking at a packed meeting, demanded, "How many others has he framed?" Reverend Daniel Brooks organized a march, declaring, "Willow Creek demands accountability." Victims like Andre Carter, who'd served 4 years for planted drugs, came forward. Harlan threatened my mom's job, he told his lawyer, pointing at the TV. Thompson faced death threats, requiring U.S. Marshal protection. When her nephew, Nathan, was attacked in prison, a hit ordered by Harlan, she refused to back down. "If I stop, he wins," she told David, though fear lingered. The FBI traced the attack to Harlan's jailhouse calls, adding conspiracy charges. The trial of United States versus Harlan was a spectacle. Metal detectors lined the courthouse, and media trucks clogged the streets. Harlan, now gray and gaunt, faced 28 charges. Judge Thomas Alvarez, brought from another district, oversaw the case. Prosecutor Laura Bennett opened, "This is about trust. Robert Harlan betrayed by targeting black citizens for profit and prejudice." Witnesses painted a damning picture. Marcus Green described his wrongful arrest. Andre Carter recounted coerced confessions. Detective Carver, turning state's evidence, detailed unofficial quotas for arrests in black neighborhoods. Harlan's daughter, Emily, testified he bragged about framing black men, calling it creative policing. A statistician showed Harlan's arrests were 5 times more likely to target black suspects than demographics justified. Harlan took the stand, defiant. "I kept this city safe," he claimed. But under cross-examination, his prejudice surfaced. "They were all guilty of something," he spat, glaring at the jury. The gallery gasped. After 3 weeks, the jury returned, guilty on all counts. At sentencing, victims spoke. Carter mourned lost years. Green's mother described her family's pain. Nathan's father condemned Harlan's prison attack. Harlan, unrepentant, said, "I did what was necessary." Judge Alvarez sentenced him to 20 years, forfeiting his assets for victim restitution. As Harlan was led away, he locked eyes with Thompson. Her calm resolve mirrored his defeat. The fallout reshaped Willow Creek. Captain Pierce got 12 years. 5 officers received 5 to 10 years. The police chief resigned, and the mayor lost a recall election to a reform candidate. The department, under a federal consent decree, revamped training, diversified hiring, and established a civilian oversight board. A $12 million fund compensated victims like Green and Carter, whose convictions were vacated. Thompson, cleared by an ethics review, was appointed a federal judge, overseeing the consent decree. Nathan recovered and graduated law school, vowing to reform prosecution. Green led a re-entry program for ex-inmates. Emily Harlan worked with anti-racism groups, rejecting her father's legacy. In a maximum security prison, Harlan, now 53, sat isolated, his health failing. His final appeal was denied, his name a synonym for corruption. A year after sentencing, Willow Creek dedicated a memorial wall for victims of police misconduct, a testament to accountability. On an autumn morning, Thompson visited Harlan in prison, seeking understanding. "Why target a whole community?" she asked. Harlan, diminished, muttered, "I saw reality, not your ideals." Unrepentant, he confirmed her resolve. The fight wasn't about him, but the future. Back in Willow Creek, Thompson joined Agent Reed, Reverend Brooks, and community leaders. "The work ahead matters most," she said. The city was healing new training, transparent policing, and a community center replacing an old precinct. Justice had prevailed, not just in punishment, but in transformation. What do you think of this story? Was Judge Thompson right to confront Harlan, or should she have let him rot in silence? Share your thoughts in the comments, especially on violence and injustice in our systems. Do you believe accountability can truly change corrupt institutions, or are some problems too deep? Take a stand and let us know your voice matters.